Come on, we can try. It's a song, small song. I can help in between.
Can I?
Yes.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Vidya Mataji, continue with the prayers.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanarjanashalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Shri Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपीश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Request everyone to come on video. Okay. Anjana Mataji, Indira Mataji, please be on video through the session. So we start our first verse of Bhagavad Gita today. What I'll do is we'll go verse by verse. So we'll read every verse, its translation, not the purport. So as we read each verse, I'll talk through each text and then we'll move on to the next. Okay, so I'll call each one of you to read the verse and the corresponding translation for that verse. Okay, we'll not read the purport. Is everybody clear on that? Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Oh yeah, it's okay, Prabhuji. What I'll do is from next week onwards, since I kind of have an idea of who are the regular people who join these calls, I'll put a list of people and which verse each one is supposed to read. So you're a little more prepared to read each verse. You can practice and be on the call in that case. Okay. Okay. Give me a second. You're all able to see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Krishna, I'll not be able to switch on video reading Mataji. I'm outside. Okay, Isha Mataji. Okay, we'll start with the first verse. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharmakshetre kurukshetre samaveta mamah pandavas chaiva kim akurvata sanjaya. Translation. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at the Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Okay, so this is the first verse from the Bhagavad Gita. The very first verse was said by Dhritarashtra. Right? There are how many verses in the whole Bhagavad Gita?
700.
700 verses.
Does anyone know how many verses were specifically said by Dhritarashtra in the whole 700 verses?
Only one.
Only one.
Yes, this is the only one verse that Dhritarashtra directly spoke. Now remember, this whole conversation is between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, correct? So Sanjaya is narrating what's happening in the Kurukshetra war to Dhritarashtra. And this is happening around the 10th day of the war. Not from the first day. From the 10th day, Sanjaya came back. Sanjaya was fighting the Kurukshetra war till then. From the 10th day, something very critical happened on the 10th day. Can someone tell me what happened on the 10th day of the Kurukshetra war?
Bhishma Deva injured.
Yes, Bhishma Deva fell down. Pitamaha fell down. Right. So far, Dhritarashtra, he's sitting in Hastinapura, and somehow he'll get some small updates, and he felt that the war was going pretty fine, that the whole war was in control. But once Bhishma Pitamaha fell down, he got into a little panic mode, right? And this is when Vyasadeva came to visit him, and they called back Sanjaya from the Kurukshetra war. And from 10th day onwards, Sanjaya is giving from the beginning of the war, from day one, what's happened so far. So Dhritarashtra is curious on what happened in the war so far, and is asking Sanjaya, please tell me. And how did Sanjaya get to see this whole war? Because he's sitting in Hastinapura, war is far away in Kurukshetra. So how did Sanjaya get to know what's going on in the war even after he came back?
Through the transcendental right.
Yes. So from his Sanjaya's guru is Vyasadeva, right? Vyasadeva gives him a divine vision wherein sitting in Hastinapura, he's able to envision what's going on in Kurukshetra and narrate the same to Dhritarashtra. Okay, so this is what is going on. So imagine this whole situation. There's two big armies on either side. 11 Akshaunis of army on the Kaurava side and 7 Akshaunis on the Pandava side. There's a big field over here. Okay, and it is approximately this 7 plus 11 Akshaunis, about approximately 36 lakh people gathered together. 36, including, charioteers, infantry, people who are fighting on foot, elephant riders, and again, horse riders, all of that put together, all of them are 36 lakhs assembled in Kurukshetra. Okay, does anyone know? We of course know that Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, and does anyone know which scripture this whole Bhagavad Gita is part of? What's the name of the Itihasa?
Mahabharata.
Mahabharata, right? Who wrote Mahabharata? Yes, Vedavyasa. But Vedavyasa didn't narrate the Mahabharata. Who narrated the Mahabharata?
Krishnaji.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, we
Krishna,
meet.
Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, but after Vedavyasa wrote the whole Mahabharata, someone actually narrated it. The first time it's spoken orally. Okay, so this happened after Parikshit Maharaj was killed by a snake, Takshaka. His son Janmejaya organized this very big fire sacrifice where he invited many brahmanas, and they were invoking some mantras such that all the snakes around the world, they'll come and fall into this big yagna kunda and die, because he was very vengeful after the death of his father, and he thought every snake in the world should die. So he organized a big yagna, and he invoked all the required mantras, and the brahmanas were reciting these mantras, and all the snakes would come and fall down into this yagna kunda. Right? This is at this time Vyasadeva appears where this yagna was happening, along with his very renowned student, whose name is Vaishampayana. Okay, so the first time Mahabharata was spoken in this ceremony by Vaishampayana with the intent of stopping this yagna, the fire sacrifice. So they wanted to put an end to the killing of the snakes. And this was when Vaishampayana orated this Mahabharata for the first time. Okay, so this is how Mahabharata was narrated. Now, we were talking about this Kurukshetra war, right? So we know, let's get into a little background of why this war is even happening, right? So there are one family. What is the name of this family where the Pandavas and Kauravas come from?
Kuru dynasty.
Yes, yes. They're all part of the Kuru dynasty. Their Purvaja or ancestor is a king called Kuru. We'll talk about Kuru in a bit, okay? But Kuru had, in his line, there's many kings in the Kuru dynasty, and in that line, there's we have Pandu as well, Pandu and Dhritarashtra. So Pandu, his parents were Vichitravirya, and Vichitravirya was married to Ambika and Ambalika, right? And from them come Pandu and Dhritarashtra, right? Pandu is named as a king because Dhritarashtra was blind by death, as from birth. So he could not rule the kingdom as a king, because anyone who's disabled is not eligible to be a king. Though Dhritarashtra is actually older than Pandu, he had to give up his position or never given the position of a king. So instead, Pandu was made as a king. Now, Dhritarashtra had 100 children from Gandhari and one daughter, and Pandu had 5 children from his 2 wives, who are Kunti and who's the other one? Madhuri, I think. Madhuri, yes. So 5 children. Now, eventually, in course of time, due to the events that happened, Pandu also passed away, right, with Madhuri. And so now Kunti is left with 5 children. So they come back to the kingdom of Hastinapura with the 5 children. And this is where they come live in Hastinapura under the shelter of Bhishma, Pitamaha, and all other seniors like this. So in the meanwhile, it was understood that of all the children, 100 children of Dhritarashtra, and Pandu had 5 children. But even in this 105 male children, Yudhishthira was the eldest. So it was always understood that since Yudhishthira is the eldest, he's anyway going to be the next king. But in the meantime, Dhritarashtra is made a temporary king, so to look over the whole running of the dynasty. And it was understood that whenever Yudhishthira is of the proper age, they will be given the kingdom, right? And as the children grew, we hear a lot of stories about how the children grew. Kauravas were always in some way envious of the Pandavas. Correct. They did not want the Pandavas to be the next king. They somehow felt internally that this whole dynasty belonged to them, and it was wrongfully taken away from them by the Pandavas. So they had many ways tried to kill the Pandavas through their growing ages. And we know that even Dhritarashtra was aware of the doings of his son. He's aware that some way that even he promoted the inimical nature, the egoistic mannerism of Kauravas. So he knew that his son Duryodhana was plotting to kill Bhima. The whole episode where Bhima was poisoned and thrown inside a lake where he was bitten by many snakes. This happened. This happened while Dhritarashtra knew about this whole event. He knew that Duryodhana was the reason, right? But despite that, he said, "It's okay. You did a mistake. Uh, Stop doing this from next time." So he tried to overlook it, right? So in some way, he also promoted this behavior of Duryodhana, right? And the whole episode where the Pandavas were sent to live in another house, which was made of combustible materials, and while the Pandavas were inside, they plotted to burn this whole building, the palace. But somehow Pandavas, with the help of Vidura and Krishna, escaped that as well. But despite all this happening, they still continue to plot against the Pandavas, the whole Kaurava kingdom. The whole Kaurava princes, right? And then we know about the very important dice match, or what is also called as the Chaduranga, right? Where they throw some dice, and the outcome of that is that the Pandavas had to give up their kingdom. Right? And they were told that they have to go to 13 years of exile. 13 years of exile. And the last year of the exile, they have to live incognito without anyone recognizing them. And if anyone even recognized them in their state of, when they're being incognito, then they have to go back again for 13 years of exile. So this was a clause. So Kauravas finally managed to send Pandavas away from their kingdom, and they started ruling this whole Hastinapura kingdom. Right? But after 13 years of exile, when Pandavas came back, they said, okay, give us back our share of the kingdom. Kauravas are still not ready to give the kingdom. So what happens here is Krishna is sent as a Shanti Duta, because the only option if the kingdom split is not happening is then there's war. So Krishna is sent as an intermediary person to subside the situation. And Krishna even put this clause of, okay, you don't want to give them half the kingdom, but these are Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas they are by nature, they have to rule, right? So if they don't rule, then they're no longer Kshatriyas. So at least give them 5 villages. But Duryodhana said, no, I'm not going to give them even a small piece of land. So nothing to be doing, no division of any kind. So Krishna showed his Vishwarupa as well, because Duryodhana very slyly tried to arrest Krishna when he came there as a Shantiduta. So this was the first time within the Sabha that Krishna showed his Virata Rupa, Vishwarupa. Right? So we know about all this situation, and later, despite all these situations, we also know that Duryodhana later went back to Krishna and also and asked for his Narayani Sena. And Krishna had decided that he's not going to be fighting, and Arjuna was very happy to have Krishna on his side. So Krishna said, okay, Narayani Sena to Duryodhana. And this Narayani Sena is very powerful. It said that of all the battles that Krishna fought with the Narayani Sena in his support, they have not ever lost a single battle so far. So there was this was a very glorified Narayani Sena, and everyone wanted to make sure they have Narayani Sena to themselves. But Duryodhana did not want to have Krishna. If Krishna is not going to come with Narayani Sena, he just wanted the Narayani Sena. Right? And meanwhile, Arjuna, he just wanted Krishna. He did not want anything else. If Krishna is not there, then I don't want anything. So that was his mood. So this mood of Duryodhana, where he's looking for Narayani Sena without Krishna, right? Many devotees, they pray to Mother Lakshmi, but they don't pray to Krishna. Right? Because they are more interested in the material aspect. They want the money, so they'll just pray to Mother Lakshmi. Similarly, here Duryodhana, we can see he's praying to, he's saying, I don't want Krishna, I want the Narayani Sena. He's looking for material prosperity. But eventually what happens is Duryodhana lost the battle, and whichever side had Krishna won the battle. Right? So this is the mood whenever you're praying to Mother Lakshmi also, Mother Lakshmi is not going to be there where Krishna is not there. Wherever a master is going to be there, she's going to be there. She's going to stay only there. So that's why Mother Lakshmi is said to be very chanchala. If we pray to Mother Lakshmi without the association of Krishna along, then she's not going to be staying there. She's going to move on, right? So similarly here, since Duryodhana wanted Narayani Sena without Krishna, minus Krishna. So finally, he had to meet his fate, which is what is described in Mahabharata. Right? So this is the background to the whole battle. Now, the first verse here is very interesting because the first verse depicts the mood of Dhritarashtra. Right? He knows so far that Kauravas have a big army bigger than that of Pandavas. So somehow he was thinking because many Sena, big fighters like Bhishma Deva is there. There's Dronacharya, Kripacharya, even Karna for that matter. Right? So he was thinking somewhere that, this battle is going to be a sure shot on the side of Kauravas for so far. But now we can understand that Bhishma has fallen down, and now he's asking this question, what happened? And there's a very important phrase mentioned here. He's saying, Mama kaha Pandavas chaiva, right? He's saying, Dharma kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mama kaha Pandavas chaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. So he's calling Kurukshetra as Dharma Kshetra, right? So what is the reason why he's calling Kurukshetra as Dharma Kshetra? Because many pious things have happened in this Dharma Kshetra before, right? So he's what are these pious things? So to begin with, there's a king called Kuru. Right? Kuru is also the ancestor to the Kuru dynasty. So this king once, he rode his golden chariot and he came to Kurukshetra. Okay. And what did he do in Kurukshetra? He made a big golden plow with his chariot and he started plowing this land. And it said that this Kurukshetra was so pious that because of all his blood and sweat while he was plowing, and this king was also very pious, and from his piety, and his sweat, which was falling on the ground, the 10 auspicious virtues got sowed into this ground, like religiosity, truth, yoga, kindness, purity, like this 10 different aspects of dharma got sowed into this ground through his blood and sweat while he was plowing. So this was why this place got called as Dharma Rajya. Right. And it said that Indra was so pleased by the work of this king Kuru that he personally came down and asked Kuru, tell me, I'm very pleased with the work you have done. What blessing do you want? So Kuru said that, King Kuru said, anyone who dies here should immediately go back to the heavenly planets. Right? But Indra was not very happy with this proposition. He said he felt that, heavenly planets is no small dealing. Like just because someone dies here, how can they just go to heavenly planets? They should have some credibility to come to heavenly planets. So he rejected this request. Though he was pleased with Kuru, he rejected this request of Kuru. So, but Kuru, the king Kuru, continued to plow the land. Right, slowly the devatas are still impressed. They are watching the whole activity of Kuru, and they are so impressed that in course of time, the devatas decided that we'll negotiate what Kuru is asking. It cannot be that anyone who dies in Kurukshetra will definitely come to heavenly planets. But he said rather, if they do die here in a battle or doing some pious activities, or die doing some offering to the Lord, in that case definitely they'll come to Kurukshetra. So this is how Kurukshetra then became, this place earlier was called something else. I think it was called as Aryavarta, or also called as Samanta Panchaka. But later on, after these activities of King Kuru, this place also got to be called as Kurukshetra. Okay, so this is how the name happened, and because of this blessing, anyone who dies here in this place where it's filled with piety, it's filled with dharma, so in such a place, it's a definite that that person will go back to the heavenly planets. Okay, so the question here that Dhritarashtra is saying, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, also comes from this reference. Also, I said that when Parashurama, he killed many kings, right? He went all over the world and killed all the kings many times. He killed them 21 times, right? And it's all the blood in 5 different streams, they were drawn into Kurukshetra. And now that the blood had accumulated and this place had become very impious, Parashurama performed a purificatory homa over here. Right? He did some, and because of this, the place also became holy. Okay, and these 5 streams of water, the 5 lakes, are still flowing in Kurukshetra, and because of which they also called as Samanta Panchaka. This place is also called as Samanta Panchaka. So this is a background about Kurukshetra. Okay, now this we need to understand a little more on why Dhritarashtra is asking this question, because one, he's definitely spiritually blind. He's spiritually blind. He doesn't know what is right and wrong, what is spiritually, he's thinking that, let something somehow or the other, let my people become the king, right? Mamakaha. Mamaka is my people, my sons. So he's saying, he's differentiating the Pandavas and the Kauravas here. He's saying Mamakaha. So what happened to my people and the Pandavas? Right, so he's differentiating. He's a weak-minded person. He's very biased to his children, right? And he's without hope. He's at this point, he just wants somehow or the other, let something happen and my children become the but he doesn't know how that is going to happen. Now that Krishna is there and the Pandavas are fighting very bravely, he doesn't know how that is going to happen. So somehow or the other, he's desirous that his children has to be the king. And he's also, because this place is a dharma kshetra, now he's got a little doubt on, is it ever going to happen? Will the influence of dharma kshetra, because of that, will my sons give up this battle? He doesn't want his son to give up the battle, right? So he's hoping that the Kauravas, because of the piety of the place, just don't make up a mind and say, okay, now we are not going to fight because the influence of Kurukshetra. And he's also, fearful, that the holy place will have some positive impact, because he knows that his son is not in the side of dharma. So he knows that because the war is being fought in a place of so much dharmic activities, he's hoping that it's not going to be in support of Pandavas then, right? And then finally, he's hopeful that under some way that maybe Pandavas themselves will give up this war and go. So he has lot of hope, lot of fear going on in all his discussion over here, and hence is asking this question on what happens after all these people have gathered here. So I request you all to not just skip the purpose, go through the purpose, because it gives a lot of background to all these discussions as well. And it's also important that you read the purpose as you go to the next level, which is Krishna Sevaka level in your bhakti step. So please make sure you read your purpose on your own as well. Okay, let's go to verse 2 now. Are there any questions on verse 1? Okay, let's go to verse 2. Who wants to read verse 2?
I will
Yeah.
Lata Mataji, go ahead.
Chapter 1, second sloka. Sanjaya uvacha drishtva tu pandavanikam vyudam duryodhanastada acharya muhas sangamya raja vachanam abravit. Translation. Sanjaya said, O king, after looking over the army arranged in a military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words. Hare Krishna.
So Sanjay is now responding to Hare Krishna Mataji. So Sanjay is now responding to Dhritarashtra and saying, he's trying to pacify the king in some words, and he's referring to Duryodhana as King Duryodhana. So he's saying what happened after this. So the first thing that happened is Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke who is the teacher that's being referred over here?
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya. And he spoke thus. So he's very aware of Sanjay is very aware of the mood of Dronacharya, and he's now trying to some way, he's talking about after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu. So Duryodhana has now seen what's the formation of the armies in both the sides, and he's also seen that Pandavas, he didn't expect them to be such a big army, but they are there now with 7 Ashkanis of army, so they are there. And after seeing all that arrangement, he goes directly to Dronacharya. Dronacharya is the commander-in-chief of the army, the first commander-in-chief, so he's addressing Dronacharya as such. Okay, now there's a background to Dronacharya as well. Okay, but before we talk about the background of Dronacharya, let's read the next verse. Sita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Pashyetam Pandu Putrana Mahacharya Mahati cha Mumam Yudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata. Translation: O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Teacher.
So he's saying, my dear teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, who expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. Now, on one side, there's Dronacharya, who has arranged the armies, and on the other side is the son of Drupada, which is Drishtadyumna. Right? Anyone knows the pastime of Drishtadyumna in this session? What's his background?
Is he the brother of Draupadi?
Yes. Draupadi and Drishtadyumna are brothers, and their father is Drupada.
Drupada, yes.
Okay. Anybody else knows anything about Drishtadyumna?
He also came from
Mataji, he came from the fire.
From the fire. Both Draupadi and Drishtadyumna come from the fire. Right? So there's a little pastime behind this. So it so happens that, one second. So Dronacharya and Drupada were students studying in the same Gurukula, right? It goes back to then. And they were best of friends, Drupada and Dronacharya. Drupada comes from a kingly family, royal family, while Dronacharya is a Brahmana. And as young children, they always used to play together, hang out with each other. And there were friendly promises made by Drupada back in the young age that whenever he becomes the next king, he'll give half his kingdom through Dronacharya. So there was childhood promises. Like you might see many young children making these kind of promises as well, saying, I'll give my, all my collection of cards or some toys to some other child who they consider them friends. So such promises happen. But here, when Drupada made such a promise, it's not that Dronacharya took it seriously, because he's a Brahmana. And though he is a young boy, he knew that, such things are said. But he did not really take it very seriously. But as they grew, Drupada eventually became the king, and Dronacharya, he married Kripa's twin sister, Kripi, and from them they had a child called Ashwatthama, right? And this it was said that they were so poor as the child was growing that they did not have enough to even feed the child. And the wife did not have enough clothes, and they were in the utter state of poverty. And Dronacharya has mentioned about Drupada to his wife Kripi, and Kripi reminded him, looking at their poverty-struck state, that maybe you can go to Drupada and ask for some help. It's not that he was going to ask for kingdom, but she said maybe he can help us out in our poverty-struck state. Some help would be nice. But it's said that when Dronacharya went to Drupada and asked, I'm Dronacharya, do you remember me? I'm your childhood friend. Drupada said, who Dronacharya? I don't remember any such person. And then Dronacharya had to explain that they studied together and you made this promise that you'll give me half your kingdom. Now, Drupada by now is a Kshatriya, a king. And when any king, they have one problem with anyone asking them half their property. So naturally, he said, these promises were made as a child. Why are you, being a Brahmana, taking all these promises so seriously? And now you're come asking for half the kingdom. Isn't that foolish? So he rejected Dronacharya and threw him out of the palace. Now, Dronacharya, very rejected, he didn't know what to do. And he knew that his child, very young child, was was very hungry. There's nothing, no food in the house. And his only hope, Drupada had rejected his request for help now. So this way, when he was passing through, he saw this Kauravas and the Pandavas, they are playing in one spot, right? And as they were playing, the ball with which they were playing, it fell into a well. And all the kids now were thinking how to get this ball out. They didn't know how to pull out this ball. And just like that, Dronacharya, he took few strands of grass from the ground. One by one, he threw this one strand of one grass on the ball. It stuck to the ball such that it was right there on the ball. Right. And then he took the second grass, and the second grass went and stuck on the first grass. So he made a string of grass. And he was able to pull out this string of a ball from this well like this. So you can imagine how perfect his archery skills were, that even a grass, it was perfectly able to go and stick to the other previous grass. So this way, Dronacharya, the kids were very impressed. They were like very happy that they got their ball, and they very happily went and narrated this whole thing to Bhishma Pitamaha. And Bhishma Pitamaha understood that this is a good teacher for their children, for both the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And this way, they came. He went and personally requested Dronacharya to become the teacher of both Pandavas and Kauravas. Right. So this happened. And many years later, when Dronacharya, when all the education of the children was done, of course, it was a time for Guru Dakshina. And this was when Dronacharya said that this King Drupada, you'll have to defeat him and bring him to me, right? Bound him like a slave and bring him to me. Don't kill him, just bring him to me. First, the Kauravas went and they were defeated by Drupada. Right. And after that, Pandavas went, just the 5 of them. And it said that Arjuna very easily captured Drupada, and he was not pompous in front of Drupada. He was very humble, such that though Drupada was captured by Arjuna, he was very impressed by Arjuna. Right? And very respectfully, Arjuna brought Drupada to Dronacharya. And now Dronacharya said, now that you're no longer king, I'm the king, and I'm giving you half this kingdom back. So he gave him half the kingdom back, and he took half the kingdom. And then now he said, now we are equals, and now we can be friends, right? So this is the pastime between Drupada and Dronacharya. But after this whole thing, Drupada was so humiliated that by now he had a little elderly, he was of elderly age as well. But he wanted a child who will kill Dronacharya. Right? So made a whole yagna, and from this fire comes Drupada and Draupadi. Because when it said that Drupada, when he saw Arjuna, he was so impressed by Arjuna that he was thinking, wish I had a daughter who I could give her in as a bride to Arjuna. And because of his intense desire, along with Drupada, Drishtadyumna, Draupadi also appeared from the fire. And this Drishtadyumna was very famously known that in future he'll be responsible for the death of Dronacharya, right? But despite this being a well-known fact, Dronacharya, because he's a Brahmana, he did not hesitate, because when Drishtadyumna approached Dronacharya to be his student, because he, he's a very benevolent teacher, he accepted Drishtadyumna also as a student, and without any kind of bias, he gave him all education needed to fight a war, even details of how to kill himself. He told, he was educated Drishtadyumna on how he could be killed. Can you imagine that? That is a true Brahmana who will, without looking for their personal benefit, one who gives education, even if no fees is there, one who gives education without any expectation of from it, good or bad. The only job they have is to give education. So Dronacharya educated Drishtadyumna on all the war skills. And now the same Drishtadyumna, who's the son of Drupada, had expertly arranged the army and is standing on the opposite side. So in some way, Duryodhana is very sarcastically telling his guru, like, look at your student, Dhimataha, Drupada Putrena, Tava Shishyena Dhimata. He's a very intelligent person, and now he's arranged this army on the other side, and he's very nicely standing there ready to face you. So he's in some ways telling Dronacharya, you're facing your student now who you train how to kill yourself, and don't weaken, don't be weak, don't show affection to your student suddenly, and forget that you're here to fight for our sake, right? We have another motive. Though he's your student, a very brilliant student, don't forget the reason why you're over here, and don't be lenient to your students, right? So he's, in other words, reminding Dronacharya not to be lenient. Okay, so that's verse 3. Let's go on to verse 4 now. I'll go from top now. Let's read one by one. Anjali Mataji, can you please read verse 4?
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
अत्र शूर महेश्वास भीमार्जुन सम युधि युयुधानो विराटश्च द्रुपदश्च महारथः. Translation. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna, great fighters like Yuyudhana, Virata, and
Drupada. So he's to begin with, he's coming to Dronacharya, and he's pointing out, yes, on the other side there is Drishtadyumna, there is Bhima, Arjuna, and there's Yuyudhana, Virata, Drupada. So, and he's calling them as Maharataha. Maharataha. Now we should understand that in the army there are many grades. Okay, the lowest of grades are people who fight on foot, infantry. And then there's a grade that fights with horses. Higher than that is the people who fight on elephants. Okay. After the elephant level, there's a grade that they are called as Ardharathi. Okay. Ardharathi can easily kill about 5,000 of these people who are on foot, horse, or elephant. That is Ardharathi. Okay. And after Ardharathi comes Rathi. Okay, Rathi can kill about 12 of Ardharathis. 12 Ardharathis come together, they can kill them all together. Okay, and similarly, after Rathi comes Athirathi. Okay, so after Athirathi comes Maharathi. Okay, and comes Maharathi, and then Mahamaharathi. So like this, the sequence goes. So he's saying on the side of Kauravas, on the side of Pandavas, there are Maharathis, great fighters like Yudhana, Virata, and Drupada. So the highest level of fighters here in the Kurukshetra war is Maharathi. Okay, and on Bhima and Arjuna are called to be Maharathi in this war. So let's read the next verse, verse 5. I'll request, was it Anjali Mataji or Anjana Mataji I called before?
Mataji, Anjali Mataji.
Okay, Anjali Mataji has already read. So Anjana Mataji, if you
Yes.
could please read.
Yes, Mataji. दृष्टकेतुश्चेकितानः काशीराजस्य वीर्यवान् पुरुजित् कुन्तिभोजश्च सैभ्यश्च नरपुङ्गवः. There are also great heroic powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kuntibhoja and Saibhya. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So he's pointing out all the great warriors like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kunti Boja. These are all warriors on the side of Pandavas. Okay, so he's pointing out all the great warriors on the side of Pandavas. Now, verse 6, Archana Mataji. Archana Mataji. Okay, next is Indira Mataji. I request all of you to be off mute and start reading the verses while I call out your names.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Yudhamanyascha Vikranta Uttama cha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarvayeva Maharataha.
Maharataha. So this is, there are the mighty, continue Mataji, sorry, read the translation.
There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamanuja, the son of Subhadra and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
So he's continuing his description of the people on the side of Pandavas. He's talking about how Yudhamanyu, the Uttamauja, who's the son of Uttama, son of Subhadra. Subhadra is, who's the son of Subhadra? Abhimanyu, and the sons of Draupadi. So he's he's saying they are all Maharati. Okay, they are all here, great chariot fighters. Now this chariot fighters, we should understand that within Pandavas and Kauravas, all of them, most of them are either Athirati or Maharati. Okay, few of them are Maharati. Most of them are Athirati, Ardharati, or Rati. Okay, so it's said that people like Arjuna, Bhishma, these are Maharati fighters. So they can easily kill as lakhs of people in one go if they want, or they can at least kill 12 Maharathis in one go. Okay, and this sequence when Bhishma Pitamaha was arranging his army, he called Karna a Ardharati. So how does the sequence of Ardharati go? After all the infantry, horse riders, elephant riders, then comes Ardharati, right? And from Ardharati, then comes Rati, Athirati, Maharati, Mahamaharati. So imagine Karna, who is a very great fighter. Bhishma said he is not eligible to be a Maharati, he is a Ardharati. And this, because remember, when a warrior is classified as a different grades of Rati, it's not just based on their fighting skills, it's also based on how well they're able to strategize the war, right? How well they're able to plan which formation, who stands here or there. And Bhishma Pitamaha knew very well that Karna, he's not a very stable mind warrior. Right? He had shown many instances where he had fled war, like in the case of when Kauravas went to fight the Virata, King Virata. It said that even Arjuna alone was able to defeat Karna and Duryodhana. Right? And later on, when Kauravas were, or Duryodhana was captured by Gandharva, Karna was there, but he fled the war scene. Right? So there were many instances like this where Karna was defeated or he gave up on the war. Even here, when because of all these many behaviors, and it's very well known fact that even when the Chaduranga was being played, the dice game was being played, it was Karna himself who was instigating Duryodhana to misbehave in the palace. So it told Duryodhana that any lady who has who's been with more than 4 men, she is no less than a whore, right, or a prostitute. So this Draupadi should be treated like one. So we should disrobe her in the sabha, and he was the one who gave the idea to Duryodhana that he should you should make her sit on the lap because she's no greater than a prostitute in this case. Duryodhana did not have such ideas, but it was Karna who was instigating all these thoughts into Duryodhana. And it's also, we call Karna as a Danavira. He gave his kavacha and a kundala to a Brahmana. This Brahmana was Indra himself. So when Indra disguised himself and came as a Brahmana, this kavacha was supposed to save Karna, right? It was supposed to protect him. It does not assure him victory in a battle, but it was there to protect him. So this kavacha and kundala came from his father, the Surya Deva. But when Indra came disguised as a Brahmana and begged for this kavacha, Karna very easily gave this kavacha, and he said, in exchange, I want something else. And he asked for the Shakti Astra. The Shakti Astra was especially requested with the intention of killing Arjuna. Now, the Surya Deva was not very happy with this exchange because he felt that Arjuna had taken so much trouble to get these different astras, Gandiva and the astra from Shiva, Lord Shiva. He had gone, meditated, took the trouble to please each of the god and got his Gandhivas and all other astras in that way. So that's a good way to get his weapons. He did not lose anything, but this here Karna, to kill Arjuna with the only intention of killing Arjuna, he was not able to think clearly. So he gave this one thing, kavacha, that was protecting him, and he said, in exchange, I'll take this other thing. So Suryadev was not very happy with this behavior of Karna. So looking at all this pattern, Bhishma Dev had said, Karna, though he's a great fighter, he might be a Maharathi for all you know, but he's from a war strategy, he's not a very smart, reliable person because he's thinking very passionately. So he's as good as a Artharathi. Right? So all these discussions created an ego clash, and to the extent that Karna said, to the point where Bhishma Dev is in the war field commanding, I will not enter the war. So this again is a display of his passionate behavior. His friend wanted him to be in the war to support him, but he said, till Bhishma Dev is there, I'll not enter the war. Right? So that's Karna for us. So he, and because of that, he did not enter till the 11th day, he did not enter the war. And there was, it said that he actually became Duryodhana, wanted Karna on his head because Karna was the only one who knew how to use the Brahmastra. That is also a nice pastime because initially Karna, many may not know this, was a student of Dronacharya. Initially, he was getting tutored, but he could see that Dronacharya was giving special training to Arjuna. He was teaching him how to use the Brahmastra. He was teaching him all these other special weapons. So he told Dronacharya that, look, even I want to learn all these astras. You'll have to also teach me. But Dronacharya knew about the behavior tendencies of Karna, and he said, so you can see the thinking process of our teachers or Dronacharya. Though he was under the tutelage, teaching under Kauravas, he did not suppress to all the requests. As you can see, he taught Drishtadyumna, and he taught Karna, but even while teaching, he decided what needs to be taught to who based on their capabilities and the behavior. So for Karna, he very clearly said that I'm not going to teach you how to use the Brahmastra. So so it said that Karna rejected Dronacharya and he went to Parashurama. Okay, and here Parashurama was against all Kshatriyas, and it said that Karna lied to Parashurama and said, I'm a Brahmana. So this way he joined the tutelage of Parashurama, and Parashurama taught him how to use the Brahmastra. But later on, somehow he figured out that Karna is actually a Kshatriya. And Karna was given a curse that you have learned all these mantras of how to invoke the Brahmastra. But when the time comes when you need to invoke these mantras, because all these are very subtle weapons, you have to invoke these weapons with mantras. Right. So he was cursed that whenever the time comes and you have to invoke these mantras, you will forget these mantras at the right time. So he was given this curse. So Duryodhana knew that Karna was the only one who knows how to use the Brahmastra, but maybe he did not know about the curse. And somehow for their own good, the internal ploy of, you don't like Pandavas, I don't like Pandavas, so let's be friends. Your enemy, my enemy, we are friends then. So with that kind of intention, and also to make use of his knowledge of Brahmastra, Duryodhana became, these are called friends with benefits, right? So he became friends with Karna in that way. So this way, anyway, now Karna is not fighting for the first 10 days. He joined the battle in the 11th day. And even Abhimanyu, for that matter, defeated Karna in those 2 days. He joined the battle on the 11th day, and 13th day he had killed Abhimanyu. In that 2 days, Abhimanyu had managed to defeat Karna as well. So, so many people say Karna is a big fighter, great warrior, but there are many, many, many instances, data that proves otherwise. So there was actually Ashwatthama also. Ashwatthama is said to be a Maha Ratha. He's even better than Arjuna in that case, Maharatha. But there's also a thing with Ashwatthama, that he does not remember. He's an Amsha of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is a Maharatha. Krishna is also a Maharatha, though Krishna does not fall into this delineation of Ratha and the grades of warriors. If we have to classify Krishna, he'll fall into Maharatha. But Lord Shiva is Maharatha, and his Amsha, Ashwatthama, is also Maharatha. Okay, but it said that this Ashwatthama does not remember his powers generally. Only when he is angry, when he is very angry, only then he'll remember that he's a Maharatha. So there's only one time that Ashwatthama actually showed his position as a Maharatha, which was after the 18 days. When the war was over, he attacked the Pandavas in the middle of the night. And he was so angry at that point, because thinking of the state of his master Duryodhana, that he then fought like a Maharatha. And his loyalty for Duryodhana is a deep-rooted loyalty, because in his childhood, he looked up to Duryodhana. Duryodhana was the first one who even showed him what milk tastes like. Till then, his mother used to give some water and flour, and he used to think that that is milk. But when he saw this kingly royal children drinking something white, he says, I know how to make milk, I'll show you. But when he showed him Duryodhana how to make milk, Duryodhana said, what are you drinking? I'll give you milk. And for the first time, Ashwatthama gave him milk. And from there on, he said, anytime you want milk, just come to me, I'll give you milk. Right? So this is how his loyalty for Duryodhana has grown over age. And now that he's seeing his master in his very pitiful state, bleeding, almost dying there, he was so filled with anger, he showed his form as Maharatha. And it said that in the dark of the night, he attacked the Pandavas. He defeated everyone. And that's how he also in this, while the Pandavas' children were sleeping, he killed those children as well. So Ashwatthama is actually a Maharatha when he's in a state of deep anger. So otherwise, the greatest of warriors that you see here is actually Arjuna and Bhishma, who is Maharatha. Everyone else will come in a lower level of gradation of warriors. Okay, so we'll go to verse. Any questions on anything that was discussed so far?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So this might be a very silly question,
No,
but
no.
why was Duryodhana not taught how to use Brahmastra? Was there any specific reason?
So yeah, so Duryodhana and Brahmastra is about archery.
Ah.
Right? And Duryodhana was Gadha. Bhima and Duryodhana were taught skills based on what they excelled in. So they excelled in Gada kind of warfare, and they were taught the art of fighting with those weapons. Right? While as Arjuna, Ashwatthama, Karna, they were all excelling in the skill of archery. So they were taught something specific to what they excelled in, because these skills, though everybody was taught everything, but only if you excelled in a certain topic, then you'll be taught things of higher grade, more, you'll be given more extra knowledge. So this way Arjuna showed excellence in the skill of archery, and hence the teacher very actively taught him more things. The more you learn, the faster you learn, the more things you pick up your thought. So this way Arjuna got to know about Brahmastra, because one, it's not just about the skill, it's also about the nature of the student. Right? And Brahmastra is, think of nuclear weapons, right? Many nations have nuclear weapons, and with that they're thinking that they can conquer the world. But Brahmastra it can destroy universes. So
Okay, so
even
that's what I wanted to know.
yeah,
Whether because of the nature
it's
of
because of the nature also, but also because Duryodhana did not excel in archery as much as he excelled in the other warfare. So he was given knowledge on that level, right? And like Karna was, though he was good with archery, was not given Brahmastra knowledge, because his nature could not withstand having that kind of knowledge. There would be a lot of bad things that would have happened if Karna had got that knowledge. If he had passionately used this knowledge just to kill Arjuna, then the whole universe would have been destroyed just by that. So he was not ready to give this knowledge, or he was not ready to receive that kind of knowledge.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Okay, let's read verse 7. We'll try to finish 7, 8, 9 now, and then we'll stop for today. 7. Okay, 7 will be Jai Lakshmi Mataji, then Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
अस्माकं तु विशिष्टा ये तानि बोधद्विजोत्तम नायका मम सैन्यस्य संज्ञार्थं तान् ब्रवीमि ते. Translation: But for your information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. Hare Krishna
So,
Mataji.
so far he's described the Pandava army. Now he's explaining his own army. Okay. Sorry, Lata Mataji already read, so I'll skip you now. Pavan Prabhu and then Sumed Prabhu. Verse 8, Pavan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Bhavan Bhismascha Karnascha Kripascha Sammitam Jaya Aswatam Vikranascha Taumadadisva Tattvisvacha. Translation: There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadata called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. Hare
So
Krishna.
he's explaining his own army now. He's listing out the people So he's Bhavan. Bhavan is you. Then there is Bhishma. Bhishmascha, Karnascha. Though Karna is not in the battle in the first day, he still lists him out. Kripascha, Samitam Jaya. Ashwatthama, Vikarnascha, Saumadattis, Tataivacha. So he's listing all the people who are always victorious in battle. So he's trying to pump up his army, listing out all the people who are there in the Kaurava side. Sumit Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
अन्ये चे भावः शूरा मद अर्थे त्यक्त्वा जीवता नानाशस्त्र पराहारणा सर्वे युद्ध विश्वराधा.
Visharadha.
Translation: There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and are all experienced in military science. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's talking about Jayadratha. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking about Jayadratha, Kritavarma, Salya. Jayadratha is who? He is the brother-in-law of the Kauravas. So since the Kauravas had one sister, Jayadratha was the husband. Dushala was the sister. So Dushala's husband was Jayadratha. Kritavarma is actually part of the Yadava Sena, but since Krishna had split his Narayani Sena and he also gave the choice to the Yadavas to select which side they want to fight on. And Kritavarma and Satyaki were greatest of within Yadava Sena. They had a lot of conflicts. While Satyaki went to Pandava side, Kritavarma decided to go to the Kaurava side. It's also said that this Kritavarma, along with Ashwatthama, after the 18th day, he actually attacked the Pandavas in the dark of the night with Ashwatthama. So he's accompanied Ashwatthama to kill the Pandavas' sons at the 18th day. So this Kritavarma later on, when the war was over, he went back to the Yadavas. There was, and this is where a fight was instigated between Satyaki and Kritavarma, where Kritavarma accused of killing the Pandavas' children in the dark of the night. And this is how the last war of the Yadavas happened. And in this war, the whole Yadava dynasty was destroyed, and Krishna also left his body in that pastime. So Kritavarma has a big role. And Shalya. So Duryodhana is explaining, because he's seen all the armies on the other side, the Pandavas. He's internally a little afraid, and he's now trying to even motivate himself by talking aloud about his army. So he's talking. He's telling he's telling his guru. He's telling Dronacharya to not get swayed, thinking about all the powerful people on the other side. Or in other words, he's telling himself not to get afraid. He's talking about the people on his side as well. Right? And okay, let's do two more verses. Verse 10. Harsh Prabhu, do you want to try? Or Nirajakshi Mataji?
I'll try, Mataji.
Yes.
Aparyatam tat asmakam balam
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
balam bhishma bhiraskritam
Rakshitam.
rakshitam
Paryaptam.
paryaptam tva idam ishtam balam bhima bhiraskritam
Rakshitam.
rakshitam. So, translation: Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by our grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhishma, is limited.
Bhima.
Sorry, Bhima is limited.
Okay, the verse goes like this: Aparyaptam tad asmakam balam bhishmabi rakshitam. Aparyaptam. This word over here is very controversial because though Srila Prabhupada says aparyaptam is immeasurable, okay, immeasurable means our Sena is so strong, immeasurable strength, and we are carefully protected by Bhishma Pitamaha, aparyaptam. While as he's saying, the strength of Pandavas is paryaptam. Paryaptam tva idam etasam bhalam bhima bi rakshitam. Protected by Bhima. Right? So he's saying our strength is immeasurable, while Pandava's strength is limited, it's paryaptam. Okay, this is a way Srila Prabhupada has explained this verse. But there are many acharyas who give a different perspective to this verse. Like if you look at Chakrabarti, Baladev Vidyabhushan version of Bhagavad Gita, he says this word aparyaptam might be also can mean limited or less, aparyaptam. Okay, and paryaptam can also be defined as enough. They have enough power. Okay, so though Srila Prabhupada says here, he's saying, Duryodhana is saying, our strength is immeasurable and the strength of Pandavas is limited. This also could mean that our strength is limited and Pandava's strength is unlimited, paryaptam. They have enough strength. So there's both ways to look at it. And he's saying because Duryodhana thinks that his strength, but we'll go with what Srila Prabhupada has defined in this purport. He's saying that our strength is unlimited, immeasurable, okay, because we are protected by Bhishma Pitamaha. And Bhishma Pitamaha, he knew that these elderly people like Bhishma and Dronacharya, they did not do anything in the Rajya Sabha when Draupadi was getting disrobed. So he was very sure that even now, in the state of war, they will continue supporting him. And he's feeling that under the protection of Bhishma Pitamaha, as long as he's on our side, our victory is assured. On the other side, he's feeling that the strength of Pandavas is limited because they are protected by the limited Bhima. Okay, he's not as great as Bhishma, but since they are protected by Bhima, their strength is limited. So this way, he is trying to pump up his army to ensure they are also like, this is the war speech. Before the war, the leader always comes and gives a war speech for motivating the army. So this is his way of motivating his army. Okay, last verse for the day. Who wants to read this? Anyone who's not read wants to try this?
I have not read yet, Mataji.
Oh, Vidya Mataji, sorry, please go ahead.
Ayanyeshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avastitah bhishmam eva birakshantu bhavantas sarva eva hi. Translation: all of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army.
So he's saying so far he's glorified Bhishma Pitamaha. So he's being a good politician, a strategist at this point, and he's saying, you know, some people in the army might think that what are we here for? If everything can be taken care of by Bhishma Pitamaha, then let him take care of it. Why do we need to support the war? So remember, Kshatriyas are egoistic people. So you can't just praise one person and put the other person and say nothing for the rest, right? So he's trying to balance the situation. He's now saying Bhishma Pitamaha is elderly, he's a grandfather, right? So try to protect him from all sides. So he's saying he's not, that strong. So you'll have to protect him. So he's motivating his army to say, okay, while Bhishma Pitamaha is there, so at the same time, let's try to protect him from all sides. So he's able to help us from help us in this war. So he's boosting his army's motivation also by praising them in turn. Okay, so this is the how politics, how Duryodhana is showing his diplomatic ways. He's trying to show that, it's not just him. All of you have to fight in this war and support each other. So this way, he's very, though he's internally very scared, he's still trying to put up a brave face, and he's praising his army, he's praising his general, he's praising Dronacharya, he's praising Bhishma, he's praising his other army generals, and he's trying to tell them that now is a good time to show your valor. So this way, so far, he's described the armies of Pandavas, and he's described the army of on his side. So at this point, from this point onwards, each of the army will start blowing each of their conches, starting with Bhishma Pitamaha and then Pandavas. This will read from our next class, which is on Wednesday. So we'll continue from verse 12 there. Are there any questions on anything that we discussed so far? Okay, I request everyone to be on video for the last part.
The crux of the entire Mahabharata war, involving so many people on a land called Kurukshetra, which has so much significance, importance, and at the same time involving so many lakhs of people fighting for just dharma, along with Krishna as in the middle. It's simply mind-blowing. It's overwhelming, actually.
Actually, dharma, now that you put that perspective, each one had their own reason to fight. Not all were
100%.
fighting for dharma, right? One part were fighting for dharma. Whoever supported the Pandavas, they knew that this is the right thing to do. They were fighting for dharma. But if you look at the other side, Jayadratha, Jarasandha, or you're looking at warriors like Shalya, what were they fighting for, right? Or Karna. They were fighting because this was beneficial for them. Fighting on this side was beneficial for them. So this was definitely a fight between dharma and adharma, but each one had their own reason to fight. Each one had their own egos, own battle histories, why they wanted to do this versus that. So this war of dharma and adharma is not limited to what's happening inside us internally now, right? Each of us is fighting that battle of what is right, what is wrong. That time, it was externally manifested. So there was a clear distinction was what was dharma and adharma, but internally right now, each of us are fighting this battle of dharma and adharma every day. What is right thing? Should I chant this many rounds versus not? Should I, make this donation or support this cause? Ultimately, everyone thinks what they think doing is dharma, that we think we are doing it dharma. But if you go deeper into even the act of charity, we look into that. Dharma will be understanding what's happening with the charity, understanding who's doing what with our charity, and then doing that charity, right? So there's a lot of gray area in dharma and dharma, but fortunately for us, while studying the Bhagavad Gita, there's a clear distinction, and that makes it easier to put a prototype of sort on what is dharma and not dharma, and then give a example or discuss it in more detail. But yes, as we go through the discussion of Bhagavad Gita, maybe we'll talk about our life situations on what is dharma, adharma, how we manipulate situations to fit our intentions, and what should be the right thing in every situation. So think it in that context. Of course, Bhagavad Gita was spoken for us, not for Arjuna. Right? Arjuna is just playing a role of being a person who's listening, asking questions. But actually, this whole Bhagavad Gita, the whole situation was put out for us. Bhagavad Gita is actually a itihasa, just like Ramayana, it's a itihasa. And it's very well-known fact that itihasa is spoken for the less intelligent class. Right? It's said in a format of a story so that people who don't read literatures, who don't read shastras actively, they at least get to know this shastra, the gist of it, in the format of a story. Right? And within this itihasa, a little bit of Bhagavad Gita is mentioned, where Krishna is giving the whole crux of the whole Bhagavad Gita in in a nutshell. And people who do not want to read the whole Vedas, the four Vedas, the Upanishads, the Vedantas, they get to know the whole crux of all the Vedas just by reading the Bhagavad Gita. So in that whole story, a small part is Bhagavad Gita, and that is how, even for the people who are not very interested in reading the whole Shastras, the whole concept is explained. But while reading the Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata, we should all understand that it's not with the intention of explaining the enmity of the two families. It's not said for that. It's for the context of understanding how dharma and adharma is different, and how do we understand it from a plot of how we differentiate, how our activities should be differentiated. So we should apply this whole concept of division of dharma and dharma in our day-to-day activities, and so we should practically apply it in that sense. Okay, so listen to the story, understand the crux, and what happens after that, the realization part, the realization of this is how we can apply this knowledge to our life. That is the most important part of the whole knowledge that we're sharing.
Yes, Mataji.
Right, Jay, any other thoughts, questions?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
You said Kritavarma joined Duryodhana. It was his choice. Was there
Yes.
any reason behind that?
The main reason was his internal enmity with Satyaki. Satyaki was in the Pandava side, so he decided, I'll not fight. I'll go on the other side. And Krishna had given the choice to all the Yadavas. Right? Krishna had said, okay, I'm going on this side, Pandavas, Narayani Sena is on that side. All of you can decide on your own which side. Okay. Right? They're not making an open choice saying, whole Yadavas in one side, or, they're not making a choice. It's a choice given to every individual. So in a diplomatic way, it's a way to say that we'll support whoever who wants to support whoever. We are not in an open position of enmity with anyone. So, which means to say, even after the war, we continue to be in a very diplomatic tie with whoever continues to be the ruler after, right? But Krishna had made his choice. He had, just like Krishna is giving that independence to each jiva. Think of it that way. Every jiva has a choice to make, and Krishna is saying, you make your own choice. In that sense. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so try to be on video for these calls. The reason I know last year when I was doing Bhagavad Gita classes, I used to make the group come together and chant at least one round together, which I'm not going to do in this year. I want you to participate in the chanting classes that is set up. I know there are a lot of invites in the group. There are 4 times in a day, the group comes together to sit and chant together. I know Vidya Mataji is leading one of those activities. Many volunteers. We absolutely want you to chant, and which is why our volunteers are enabling this by bringing up the chanting sessions. Try to join, even if you can't join the whole 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, how much ever round you want to chant. Try to see if you can join this Zoom call and chant. Right? And while you're on the Zoom call, at least it's an impetus for you to not get disturbed by anything else. So you can come together, chant, be part of that discussions. I don't know if some discussions are actively happening around chanting, but at least this is a forum to just chant, no other discussions. So you come together, chant, and whenever you want to drop, you drop. But I know there are many examples of people who have joined these sessions in the past, and they gave very positive reviews to say that, it really helped me improve my chanting. At least I'm not focused on anything else while I'm part of this chanting. So try to be part. If you're not doing your 16 rounds, or if you're doing your 16 rounds, but you feel that my focus is not good enough, try to be part of these sessions so you can focus on your chanting. And also in the next 4 months, since most of you, I hope you have already completed your registration of Sadhaka level, the next 4 months are our impetus then is, in the next 4 months, we should be at the Krishna Sevaka level, which means to say at least 4 rounds per day. At least 4 rounds. So
Mataji, Sorry to interrupt you,
Yes.
but during these chanting sessions, when each participant chants, when we chant along with them, our rounds get completed. The
Yes.
four rounds get completed. 4 people join, 4 rounds get completed.
Yes.
Chant along with them. So that way,
Yes.
it's a plus for those people who can't take time out to chant also.
Yes. Right. So, like I was saying, you can be part of the whole 1 hour of chanting, or if you have just 15 minutes, 30 minutes, try to join whatever time you have and try to finish your rounds. Or if you absolutely cannot do anything, then, try to at least chant on your own, right? But if you have the time, try to join and participate in the chanting. Jai. Okay, with that, we'll end our session for today. If there's no other questions, we'll continue with from verse 12 on Wednesday. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namaha.
Namaste.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranam. Thank you.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you.
Dandavat pranam. I'm ending the call for everyone.